Welcome back to Stray Trains. With the Comenge being retired and the high-capacity metro trains slowly making their way onto the network, many people are looking to ride one for the first time. In this video, we're going to take a look at how to know if the next train departing from a station is indeed a high-capacity metro train. Now for method number one, let's take a look at the PTV app. Sorry it is in portrait mode, but that's unfortunately how phones screenshot. Let's take a look at Noble Park Station. It's 12:01 PM and the next services departing into the city are a 12:09 in 7 minutes. We've got one in 27 and in 37 minutes as well. However, we do know that at this time of day, it should be a 10-minute frequency departing the station. So you wonder, well, where is the 12:19 express to Flinders Street? Well, because it's not on the app, we know that it is going to be a high-capacity metro train. Now, I'm not really sure why they don't show up on the app yet. It might have something to do with the tracking or something. I don't really know, but that is basically one way to tell if a HCMT is coming. There is an odd chance that the train has been cancelled. So it's always good just to check the orange exclamation mark where there's like the 4 on it on the top right, just to always check if there has been some service alterations. But if there's nothing there and there's a service missing, then you know it should be a HCMT. Let's say you're looking to ride in the other direction on a down service and you're at Noble Park at 12:02 PM. As we can see, the next trains departing to Cranbourne is the 12:20, the 1 PM and the 1:20. And you might again ask, what about the 12:40? Remember that because at the Dandenong split, the Pakenham and Cranbourne trains split, once you get past Dandenong, the trains come in a 20-minute frequency. Now the app shows Pakenham services as separate to Cranbourne, so even though it is a 10-minute frequency from the city up to Dandenong, on the app it technically shows it as two separate lines. So when you're looking to go on a down service on the app, you've got to remember that there is a 20-minute frequency between trains. As we can see here, there is clearly the 12:40 Cranbourne missing, which means as long as there's no service cancellations, it should be a high-capacity metro train service. Now let's take a look at Pakenham Station, one of the terminuses of the lines. And as you can see right now, we've got 12:46, 1:46, 2:06 and 3:06, which is way more than a 20-minute frequency. In fact, more than a 40-minute frequency between some services. Of course, that is not the case, and it simply just means that there are two high-capacity metro trains in a row. So the 106 and the 126, for example, will be HCMTs. On the Pakenham line, just a little heads up, there are more HCMT services running. So if you are along the Pakenham line, it is more likely you will see one compared to the Cranbourne line. And now let's take a look back at Noble Park Station for our final scenario on the PTV app. So this is basically the next departure section. So if you're at a station and you go next departures, this is basically the next departures for each service from each platform. As we can see, the next city service is in 6 minutes and the next Cranbourne service is in 18, which means they're both within their 10 and 20-minute frequency respectively. So we know that they should be either a Comenge or a Siemens service. However, the next Pakenham service is in 47 minutes. Assuming there's no delays, as we will check the orange exclamation point, the 7-minute and 27-minute services to Pakenham should be a HCMT. This is basically if you're just at a station and want to know if your service will be a HCMT or not. And just one more heads up, if you are in the city, so in the City Loop, Southern Cross, Flinders Street stations, sometimes these services are a bit muddled up. This is just because sometimes trains will go from one group to another, and sometimes they've just been kind of determined. So if you are in like at Parliament Station, for example, there could be like 2 trains coming in the next hour and a half on the app, but obviously that's not the case. And well, we're not yet at that frequency of level of HCMTs. So if you are in the city looking for HCMT, it may be a little bit skewed on the app and not as accurate. And that is why you sometimes see an express to Flagstaff service on the app for a City Loop service from Pakenham or Cranbourne, because the trains will go to Flinders and then they might go on a Northern Group service. So they'll go literally from, Southern Cross Flinders and then back to Parliament, Melbourne Central and Flagstaff, and then to North Melbourne via the Northern Loop. So sometimes the express to Flagstaff is basically the reason why in the city the PTV app is a bit iffy. But other than that, if you're outside of the city, so from Richmond to Dandenong and then between Dandenong, Cranbourne, Dandenong, Pakenham, it should be fairly accurate. The second way you can find if a HCMT service is coming is basically by doing just a little bit of research. For me personally, I recommend going onto some Facebook groups such as Train Tracker or HCMT Appreciation Group. These groups post sightings of HCMT trains, and as well as others depending on what group you're on, and will say, oh, this is this train at this time of this station kind of thing, and generally people will put photos or videos of it. So from there you can kind of learn some HCMT routes and times that they're on, because currently the HCMTs run on a set timetable every weekday and every weekend day. So basically, if you're at a train station and on that day there's a 1 p.m. service that is a HCMT, every Monday to Friday it will be a HCMT service. Every so often Metro does change the timetables as new HCMTs enter the network, and they do, shift it around. I think the original two used to be like a 9:20 and a 1:19 service departing Pakenham, and then back from Flinders Street back to Pakenham. But basically, that is what you can do. You can do a little bit of research, get a feel for it, and once you know what time a service is coming that's HCMT, you can just literally come the next day if it's a weekday, and it should be the same one. And my final idea is kind of just if you want to freestyle it, going for a little journey yourself, and then it's just to rock up to any station on the Pakenham Cranbourne lines and wait for one to come. Now, you might say, I don't want to wait too long. That is fair enough, but at the time of filming, there are 11 on the network, and usually simultaneously at service during peak. So if you want to save a little bit of time, I recommend going on a peak time to any station, and you shouldn't be waiting too long. If you're from the north or west, I recommend going to Flinders Street Station around 5:10 to 5:45 p.m. There are quite a few services departing. And another thing as well, if you're from more of the east and you want to go to a station along the line and not a city station, I recommend going to an island station. So those are, for example, your Skyrail stations, and that is where the doors open on the right of service, because Skyrail stations and other island platform stations, basically you can access both directions of travel pretty easily. If you go to station, for example, Oakley or Caulfield, and there's a HMT going in the opposite direction to the platform you're on, well, you might not, firstly, be very hard to catch, and secondly, be running pretty fast. So just to make your life a little bit easier, definitely go to an island platform. So then you're more likely to catch it and just guarantee yourself when it arrives. Anyway, I hope this was helpful. They are a pretty cool train. Can't wait to ride more myself, and let me know if you go on one. But thanks for watching, and I think we'll leave it at that one. Cheers.